Hey guys, how's it going today? Hope you're doing well. So, yesterday, Apple announced the new Mac Studio and Studio Display products to launch this month. And I have some mixed feelings about them. I'm kind of excited about them, I'm kind of disappointed in other ways. So, today, I kind of wanted to talk about these products for music producers. Um, I'm kind of interested to hear what you think about them, if you are interested in them, if you think you might buy them, if you think you're going to pass on them, or if you're a video editor or just an Apple consumer. What are your thoughts on these products? So let's start talking about the Mac Studio. So I was a little excited about this because it's basically we have the new M1 Max chip. Well, new a few months ago in these machines, and now a new M1 Ultra chip. Now, this is kind of exciting if you want to have a desktop in a really powerful desktop in a really compact product, right? So basically, what the Mac Studio is basically is a Mac Mini Pro version, kind of, right? So if you look at the Mac Studio here, it looks just like a Mac Mini, except it's quite a bit taller and thicker, right? So it's 3.7 inches tall, and we have the M1 Max chip and the M1 Ultra chip. So before we could only get the M1 Max chip in the new MacBook Pros that came out a few months ago. Now we can get it in basically a larger Mac Mini. So as far as my own setup right now, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts as well, I got the M1 Max 14-inch MacBook Pro a few months back, and I paid $3,400 for this laptop, which is to me a lot of money. And I will say I love it. It's my favorite laptop I've owned so far. Super fast. I have the M1 Max chip, 64 gigabytes of RAM, which I'm finding out maybe could be even excessive for me as a producer. And I have 1 terabyte of internal storage. So I almost maxed everything out except for the internal storage. And I've loved it so far. It was $3,400 with a student discount, and I didn't pay tax since I picked it up in Nashua. So it would have been $3,800 dollars if I didn't have a student discount and without tax, or if it had tax. So for me, the Mac Studio, I'm just a little disappointed because I was kind of waiting and hoping for an iMac Pro kind of revival to have one package with a really nice display and the M1 Max chip in one package, right? So for me, I can't afford right now to drop around $4,000 for the Mac Studio base model, which is $2,000, and the Studio Display, which is $1,600. So it would be close to $4,000 together to have a full package, unless I didn't pay tax or got a student discount. But still a lot of money. So really the only point in me getting these is because I'm excited about them. So I've been wanting to have a desktop for my music production in addition to my laptop, because I mostly work about 90% at my desk with a display when I'm producing music, mixing music. But sometimes I like to lay in bed and mix a little bit. I like to stream stuff on my laptop in bed, or be on the go. So that is huge for me to have both options. Right now I have a Samsung 32-inch 4K monitor that was around $350. Pretty good deal. I think it looks great. Of course, it's not as nice, vibrant, or bright as an Apple display, but it gets the job done. So really, I think the Studio Display looks like it's probably going to be pretty beautiful, pretty awesome, but it's also $1,600. So for me, would I get a Mac Studio at this point? Probably not, but I would wait. I would wait and maybe save up and see what happens down the line if they announce any other iMacs. Really, the only need for a desktop in addition to my MacBook would be, again, so I have two computers, right? So I could come right now. I take my MacBook Pro from upstairs to downstairs every morning, hook it up to my monitor, and then I'm ready to go. Now, is this a big deal? No, it takes like 5 seconds to hook up, but it would be kind of nice to not have to plug in, plug out, plug in, plug out. So I'd have to pay $2,000 really just to have that convenience. Now, that being said, it is possible for the Mac Studio with the M1 Max chip to have slightly better performance since it's a larger product, but I don't think it's going to be that much different than the MacBook Pro. But we don't know yet. I'm kind of going to wait for reviews on that. So let's just look at the pricing real quick. Okay, so we have the base model with 10 cores, which is what my MacBook Pro has. I'm on the student pricing right now, so it's $1,800, but it's $2,000 if you're not doing the education pricing. 32 gigs of RAM. I have 64 right now. 512 gigabytes of storage. I have 1 terabyte right now. So for me personally, since I have a MacBook Pro, it doesn't really make sense for me to buy it, except unless for some reason I just have some extra money to spend for the convenience of not plugging in, plugging out of my display. And then we have the M1 Ultra chip, which is double the cores for pretty much for exactly double the price, which is a lot of money. Now, I'm going to say for music production, I don't see why you would need this much power. It's basically two M1 Max chips combined, right? And so I really only see this for really, really intensive video editing. But, if I had tons of money to spend, sure, I would get the M1 Ultra just to see its performance. So as far as working in Logic music production, I've loved my MacBook Pro so far, but I have seen a couple issues that I've heard a lot of people have been having in Logic with the new chips. And part of this is because the third-party plugins that we use, like Output, Native Instruments, stuff like that, they're not M1 native yet. So we have to run Logic in Rosetta mode so that we can use these plugins, right? So I have noticed that when I transferred old projects onto my new laptop, I have some projects with third-party plugins that I get some distortion, some crackles, some pops during playback. And then if I try to record vocals on top of that, for example, it becomes worse. However, usually when I double tap the space bar, so I pause and then play back again, the crackling subsides and stops, at least temporarily. So right now, it's kind of just an inconvenience and not a huge issue for me. However, I've had other projects that I've transferred with the same third-party plugins that don't have any issues. And to me, it seems like it's almost random with what projects have issues. And I've also started new Logic projects on this machine with no third-party plugins, all Logic-based instruments, and I've had some crackles and pops. So to me, it seems like there's something buggy going on. There might be a bug with the Rosetta mode. There might be a bug with Logic running on Monterey, the new operating system. So I think we're going to have to wait for third-party plugins to be M1 native or a Logic update that could potentially fix some bug issues with the CPU spiking. So when we get crackles, pops, distortion in playback or recording, it's really the CPU spiking, right? And we're getting that distortion. So that has happened to me in the past on my Intel MacBook Pro in 2019. I've had that issue on that MacBook as well. So I really do think it's a Logic issue that they just haven't fixed yet. Again, it's not a major issue. I've had tons of tracks with third-party plugins, and I can record vocals over them easily. And then other projects, I seem to run into this CPU spike distortion issue. So we're going to have to wait and see. I still love it, even though I run into these issues sometimes. But still, by far the best laptop I've ever had for music production. So for me, I'm probably gonna wait on the Mac Studio, see if anything's announced in June, which probably won't happen. But I'm gonna wait. Maybe I'll save up, and if I can't wait, maybe I'll get the base model for 1,800 student pricing. Maybe in the summer, a few months down the line. But what I'm really considering getting in the next few months is the studio display, and that is $1,600, $1,500 if you have student pricing, which is a lot of money. That's 5 times almost what I paid for my monitor. And really, the only reason why I'd get the monitor is because it's probably beautiful and vibrant, and my current monitor looks fine, but I really would like to have an Apple monitor paired with my MacBook Pro. So I'm considering saving up for this. I traded in my last MacBook Pro and I got $1,100 in Apple credit, so it would only be $400 for me. But I think I'm gonna wait and see reviews on it, and go from there. But I'm curious to hear, what are your thoughts on this? Are you kind of sour that it's packaged into two separate things, meaning the Mac Studio and the display? Do you wish there was an iMac Pro, kind of like I do? I kind of do wish it was packaged into one machine as an option, or a higher end iMac, so that we wouldn't have to spend $4,000 to have this new setup. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, please like, subscribe. If you have any questions, I'm happy to do another video, and I'll see you next time.